Good morning. And you know what? This isn't even a pre-workout. This is actually just beta-alanine with creatine mixed in.
Is the pump.
Which in and of itself is technically a pre-workout because a pre-workout is just something you drink or consume pre-workout. But I already actually took my pre-workout. I just wanted to get that little fuzzy feeling you have in your face. But anyways, I'm back to making YouTube videos, and it is shoulder day today because it is Monday, and I figured solid way to start everything. And I have some mildly good news. I finally got Clair Obscur. And how am I liking it? I'll tell you guys probably later, or I might save that for a much more bigger review. I might do a first impressions thing at the end of the day. But like I said, today's gonna be shoulder and delt day. We're just gonna walk over to the fitness center to do that because you don't need a lot of equipment. You just need some solid reps. And I'm excited about it. And I'm also gonna shave a little bit later because I have an interview today and I wanna make sure that goes well. But anyways, let's get over to I'm gonna finish drinking this beta-alanine concoction, have a little bit of that apple cider vinegar, and then we're gonna get to the gym and have a good time. I'll catch you guys there.
So a change of plans on what this conversation was going to be about because the video was delayed and some tragic news happened. Ozzy Osbourne has unfortunately passed away. Obviously, we all knew this was going to happen sooner rather than later because after seeing Ozzy's final show, we could see that our guy was clearly not in the best health. But we were hoping that he still had a few solid years of him, still getting cool stories, hearing about him, the things he's doing while he's just living and chilling in life. But Father Time catches up to us all, and unfortunately, he claimed the Prince of Darkness himself. And I was telling my coworker, it doesn't matter whether or not you like Black Sabbath's music. It doesn't matter if you like Ozzy's music. It doesn't matter if you prefer Dio over Ozzy. Ozzy Osbourne is essentially the John Lennon of heavy metal. Without Ozzy, there is no true heavy metal. Like, we obviously have proto-metal bands like, Led Zeppelin, Coven, even Jimi Hendrix, some might say. But if it wasn't for Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath, we would not have the metal we have today. It was them that really, they were the explosion. The rest were the gunpowder. Black Sabbath and Ozzy, they were the dynamite that really kicked everything off. And let's not fool ourselves here. Those other bands are of high importance when it comes to rock and roll. But it was truly the sound of Black Sabbath that really initiated what heavy metal truly is. And I'm going to be honest, musically, I'm more of a fan of Ozzy's solo work than I was of just Black Sabbath in and of himself. Now, don't get me wrong. In my workout playlist, you have Iron Man, you have Paranoid, but I would listen to more Ozzy than I would just Black Sabbath. And I was watching Wyatt's Metal tribute to Ozzy after he passed, and he said the last thing he ever sang was, "I tell you to enjoy life. I wish I could, but it's too late." That really lands now. I know Mama I'm Coming Home was the most emotional one, but those being his last words on stage, that means something.
And our gym session has come to an end now. I still have to make my protein drink.
Some good fucking food.
I still have some of that protein powder left over, which tastes very good, but later today I am going to make an actual protein supper. I have some ground chicken I have left. I mean, it's no American Chicken Bunker, but
high quality, chicken flavored food stuffs.
But it is still solid stuff when what I can make out of it. Add a little bit of seasoning here and there, low calorie, no tortillas because, don't want too many carbs. Still got to get your carbs in, obviously, but don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to be making my protein drink now. Then I'm going to go wash my face and shave my beard I did a steady state cardio today. Obviously, nothing too crazy, but still 20 minutes of cardio, 15 to 20 minutes of cardio every day. Today was steady state, just, going at a reasonable pace, not breaking a sweat, like, at all. Or a little bit of one, nothing too drastic, but we still got gains to make. I like this shirt.
Is the pump.
If you haven't noticed, I really liked this, gray shirt because, very good form fitting. But anyways, let me make my drink, charge up my phone, maybe have a little bit of a discussion later, and then I have an interview today, so that's going to be my top priority. So hopefully that doesn't take too long, and if it does, so be it. If it doesn't take too long, I can actually make it to ministry tonight, which would be fun. So always love doing that. I'll catch you guys later. Peace. So the interview is wrapped up. It went pretty well. They said they're going to keep me on the roster, so that's nice. They said they're actually going to have more information. This wasn't an interview for a job or anything like that. It was an interview for an agency in Ohio. I'm not going to say the name, but yeah, they said they're going to keep me on the roster because they're going to have another set of auditions in November, which they said is actually more for. They said this was more about they offer classes and things like that. They said this audition was more for that, not so much actual representation. So they're going to hold those auditions in November. Unfortunately, so I'm going to have to wait a little bit, but that's fine. It happens. You live and you learn. Anyway, I got ministry tonight, so I'm on my way there now. I don't think my roommate knew I was going to go today, but hopefully they haven't gotten too far into it. I got to stop up at the store because I like bringing in some snacks for everybody. So yeah, let me get to ministry, and we probably will discuss a little bit later what we talked about today, or we'll have a more fun conversation like I normally enjoy to have. But we shall see. And we are back home from young adult ministry. Now it's way later. It's almost 1 a.m, but we kind of just talked about how Jesus really wasn't as big of a hippie as a lot of people are kind of led to believe. Well-intentioned, sure, but it's still not truly what he was. And we kind of also talked about how anyone trying to figure out Jesus really struggles to, because people who were there with Jesus when he still walked the earth, they didn't really understand him either. We all know he's the Son of God, and he's the reason we have access to heaven should we follow him. But to really truly understand Jesus is a much more complicated conversation. But we're not going to talk about that right now. That type of conversation can be held off for another day. Right now, we're going to talk about the game I am playing, the game I have been waiting for, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Now, I know I've been waiting to play Rise of the Ronin, but I saw some gameplay of this and I said, I just gotta play it. And I got this physical copy a little bit ago, and it was actually supposed to be delivered in August, and they got it to me way earlier, which was mildly disappointing. I'll explain why. It's because I had this huge list of games I wanted to beat before I wound up playing this, because this is a big RPG, and I really wanted to dedicate all my time to it. And then it showed up, and I'm just like, I really want to finish these backlog games first before I go into anything else. And my friend Ryan from work, God bless him, he started playing it before I did, and he just said, dude, I know how much you wanted to play this. Just beat that one game, and then just hop right into it. And the game I'm playing at the time was Serious Sam 4, by the way. So I beat that, and I was like, but I really want to get that platinum on not Kingdom of Amalur. Oh boy, that'd take forever. Immortals of Avium. And I also want to get the platinum trophy on Serious Sam 4, and like I said, I already beat those games, so those are done for now. Because I have this feeling that, like, if I enjoy this too much, then what do I have to look forward to? Because this is like my most hyped game in years. This was the Poultrygeist of gaming for me. And so that was like a bit of a doozy of a situation, and obviously I'm playing it now. And the thing that stood out to me, and this is the comparison this game got made a lot too, was Lost Odyssey. And if we want to talk about underrated masterpieces, it's definitely, this is up there. This is a borderline perfect RPG. If you haven't played this yet, you definitely need to pick it up. I don't know how much it's running for now. Obviously, I got it for like $12, $13 a few years ago. But man, when I played this, it was a banger. Like, truly underrated masterpiece. And when I saw gameplay of this, I was like, hey, yo. A lot, because it has a lot of rhythm-based, turn-based combat in it. This one's a little bit more elaborate than this is. But I was just thinking, and there's also a game called Legend of Dragoon. Similar thing. I don't have that yet, and I haven't played it yet. I do definitely plan on playing it because it's on the PS5 now, or the PSN store. It looks awesome. Like, I want to try one of those old school RPGs. And like other games that are similar to it too. You got the Persona series. I was gonna pull out my copy of Persona 4 Golden, but it's on the shelf. And also, the one that I think kind of pseudo started the rhythm-based turn-based RPGs, Super Mario RPG. Yeah, this is one of my like gaming holy grails because I know this has gone up in price, the physical copy of it. So I was happy when I got it for like $30 like 10 years ago. But rhythm-based turn-based RPGs are something I really like, and this does it exceptionally well. But there are some things about it that I think might get some people frustrated if they're not used to it. And I haven't played a turn-based RPG in a long time, especially with, like I said, the rhythm style that where, you got the dodges, you got the parries, you got the jumps, you got the extra dodge, where if they have like a certain timing, you have to press the trigger button. They have so many different dodges and parries in this that it'll make your head spin. And the one thing that can get frustrating, and even with me, even though I can see why people who love Soulsborne games love them, because once you figure it out, it's like you just got in the rhythm to it. You can just get in sync to it. It's just like, here we go, I'm on it now. And this game is very much like that. I don't want to compare it to a Soulsborne because it's not that hard. But the game is very much balanced with they want you to dodge and they want you to parry and they want you to jump. Because if you get hit, you're going to take a lot of damage. Even if you have your defense at a relatively higher spot, your character is going to get hurt a lot with getting hit. So you got to make sure you get your rhythm down with each enemy. And a lot of the times it is studying the enemy. And the one thing that can get frustrating, and even with me, I get frustrated every now and again with it, is there are times when an enemy will do a thing where it's like, oh, they're about to attack, but it's a wind up, and then they'll swing again, but it's still not the hit, and then, you press the parry button twice, and it's like, oh, gosh. And then you get smacked and you die. It can get kind of annoying, I'm not going to lie. But because I'm not someone who's actually that big of a fan of the Soulsborne games, but once I get the rhythm, I get it figured out, I just feel so on top of the world, like being able to beat a boss, because just like, okay, you can sometimes read it well if you're patient, but like I said, there's sometimes where the windup is very, very, very misleading, and there are times where it feels like it's inconsistent of when you should be pressing the dodge or parry button, because parrying dodging and parrying have two different functions. The dodge obviously gets you out of the way, but there's a bit more of an opening for the dodge. However, pardon me. With the parry, you have to get it right. There is like the gap is not that big. There is a perfect dodge, and that kind of functions on the same timing as the parry does. But dodging doesn't have the counter. And the thing is, some enemies have a lot of attacks at once. And that is when it can get very, very... Your timing has to get learned for those enemies that do that. And there's this one enemy, I forget, I don't know the enemy's names yet, but they're like walking sticks, like they're like this big thing of rock, and then like sticks are wrapped around, they walk around. They have swing and spin. Swing meant 2, spin meant 3. And once I learned that, I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen here, here, and here. And then there's some enemies that'll have like 5 swings, and you just gotta either get out of the way or parrying them. It's more satisfying to parry because you get to have that counterattack, but your timing has to be so on point. It's a risk-reward scenario where you can dodge each attack and you won't get hit, but you also won't have a counter. Or you can parry every attack, but if your parrying is not correct 100%, you are not going to get that counter. Because here's the thing. If they're doing a combo, you have to make sure that the parry is each individual swing they take at you. Because if you miss one, you're not going to get that counter. And that's sometimes inconsistent, because with some enemies, as long as if you get the last parry, then you're fine, you're good to go. But that's the gameplay overall. How's the story? I've only finished the first act, and my gosh, folks, my gosh. I knew there was a reason this was one of my most hyped games of all time, or at least within the last 10 years. The story here is just spectacular. The well-written and likable characters, the stakes, the moments of twists. And I told my coworkers who are playing this as well, I got a bunch of my coworkers to play this game, by the way, before I even had a chance to play it. And I said, don't say a single thing to me. I want to figure it out. Like my coworker, like who's much farther ahead, he will ask how far you into it. And now I texted my other coworker yesterday, my coworker Vinny, and I said to him, I can't believe this happened. And he's like, no, I feel you. And I was I was thinking about it all night, and like today I randomly brought it up at YA Ministry. I mean, it wasn't completely random. It was like I loosely referenced it in context of what we were talking about, but this game so far just has a lot of moments that just stick. It really sticks the landing with its storytelling. Like I said, the characters are so well written. And then you have this exceptional, even though it can get mildly frustrating, gameplay loop with the turn-based combat. This is definitely going to go down in history as one of the best games of all time. Sandfall, like what are they going to do next? How do you top Clair Obscur Expedition 33? Now I'm hoping the game's story continues to be this good, and that the bosses do not get too frustrating, because obviously I know as long as you progress through the game, things have to get more difficult, because if they don't, then what's the whole point? But it's one of these things where like we're meeting what I'm saying I was going to be concerned about. If this game is as good as I was hoping it is, and it pretty much is so far, what else do I have to look forward to? I think what this is doing, though, is it's getting me back into the turn-based RPGs. And I think I've needed these for a while now because, I've been playing so many first-person shooters. I've been playing so many adventure games. I just needed a solid turn-based RPG. And I think the next one I'm going to do is Metaphor Re Fantasio, or maybe even Persona 3 Reloaded. I might play Persona 4 Golden again, but I can't find my... pardon me. I can't find my Vita copy. I know they re-released it on PS4 and PS5, but I have so much data on my Vita version and more trophies on that one. I don't know if I want to restart everything from scratch, if you know what I mean. I might even play Like a Dragon, The Infinite Wealth. I still call it Yakuza, but I know they officially changed it in America to Like a Dragon, which I think actually fits, if I'm going to be honest, because Yakuza was about Kiryu, and Like a Dragon is about, I forget the new guy's name, which unfortunately I forget his name because I really like that character. But yeah, but the Yakuza Like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth both look like that. I actually played through Like a Dragon, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, and I already know the turn-based combat, and that is great. That one doesn't have the, if I remember, it doesn't have the reaction turn-based combat. It more has, like, you have to feel like your character getting into good position and things like that. But anyways, I'm drifting off. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is so cool. Like, it's one of those moments, it's one of those games where, you know how when you were a kid, you had your older brother, they had video games, stuff like that, and then you were playing a game, and then you found something cool, and then you said, hey, big bro, can I bring you in and show you what I found? I've had moments like this. It's not obviously with my older brother. My older brother doesn't live with me. But with my roommate, I said, yo, come check this out. This is awesome. I had him sit in with me, watch a little bit of playthrough. I had a moment where I figured out an enemy's weakness. I took advantage of that, and I was like, yo, that's really cool that I figured that out. Because it was like a process of, like, elimination of, like, we're in this type of environment. This is normally weak to this. Let's see if this works. And it actually did. I mean, a lot of that is common sense, but it was just cool to be like, oh, okay, so they actually went through with that. And also, I like how you can change your character's outfits and things like that, but you have to unlock them, and I'm happy you don't have to pay microtransactions for them. It's not that hard to just have bonus content in your game that I can just unlock and not pay for. So Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I will admit, the combat, it can get frustrating because you do have to have patience in figuring it out. But once it is figured out, don't play it tired because you can't do it in a tired state, I promise you. Or maybe, like, once you get into the, sort of like how I am, it's been a long day. Once you get into that zen and zone of it, like, because once you figure it all out, this is a game where I feel as though the new game plus is going to be exceptional. And once solving all the characters, solving all the combat interactions, you can beat a boss without even getting touched. And that's awesome. Like I said, though, I do wish that some of the defense balancing was a little bit more forgiving with you. If you got hit, like, instead of taking as much damage as it does, you don't take as much. Like, I still understand you have to be punished for getting hit, but I wish it wasn't as nasty as it is. But that's just one complaint. I mean, maybe me saying, oh, it can get kind of frustrating because, you have to be very patient. But I don't know if that's more of a heated in the moment type thing and not so much an actual negative on the game. You just gotta get used to it. and it's not for everybody, because like that's one thing you gotta make sure everyone knows. That type of gameplay is not going to be for everybody. But I love turn-based RPGs. I love Lost Odyssey. I love Super Mario RPG. I love those games that let you be reactionary in the actual combat of it, and you're not just standing there and be like, oh, I guess I got hit now. I mean, there's nothing wrong with those games. I mean, Final Fantasy IX is still, I think, of course, Final Fantasy IX has to be careful. Final Fantasy IX is my favorite turn-based RPG of all time, but it's got to be careful, folks. It's got to be really careful. But a lot of Final Fantasy IX comes down to a little bit of nostalgia and how much I love the characters in that too. So like I said, like even like turn-based RPGs where you can't really retaliate if you're getting attacked, that's fine. But it's nice to see a game that actually forces you to be interactive with it, because like if you slack off, you're gonna get killed. Like I said, a little bit of balancing could have improved the punishment or made it less severe than what it actually is, but that's no squeeze. Anyways, I can't wait to play more of this. I'm taking my time. I'm going to get the platinum. I'm going to 100% this game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And again, that's the only thing downside about it, is if I know I'm going to love this game so much, that if I love it too much, then what else do I have to look forward to? I know there's other great games out there. Don't worry, I'll find something else new. But I think I was wrong, by the way. Persona 4 Golden is my favorite turn-based RPG of all time, because that has a lot of great characters. But it's like I said, so far, it's not just the fact that this might be my favorite turn-based RPG of all time. So far, this is getting itself close to being in my top 10 favorite games of all time. Could you imagine if it makes it in the top 5 of my all-time favorite games? A game that came out this year. Anyways, I know I said I'm probably going to play Metaphor Beast Phantasio after this, but I'm probably actually going to play through the Prestige, because I've been wanting to play that game for a while. That was actually going to be the game I played before this, but I think we're going to need something a little bit more simple after taking on such an epic RPG. Anyways, guys, I got straight getting ready for bed, so I'll catch you guys later. Good night.